Hello and welcome to a week 5 live session for critical thinking. This actually is a recap of our week 5. We didn't actually hold a live session due to the holiday last week, and what I wanted to make sure that you are aware of is that you can simply read the presentation for last week, which is week 5, and submit your 1-paragraph summary to the Dropbox, and this will count actually as extra credit. So I'm taking away the requirement for live session for week 5 and turning it into watch the presentation and submit your 1-paragraph summary to the live session Dropbox, and you'll receive extra credit. So if you do not do summary for week 5, you will not be penalized. I will go ahead and quickly recap on what our assignments, our checklist was for week 5. So we had our regular reading and we had a assignment. Our assignment was all about informal fallacies. So last week we were getting into fallacies of the inductive logic, but also fallacies of regular deductive logic. And our discussion is kind of taking apart the difference between those two. But for the assignment, we're mainly focusing on these are fallacies of induction. And that's when we're taking a past example of something that happened as evidence for that it's going to happen again in the future or in a similar way. And that's called fallacy of informal inductive logic. So you can read the first one. Let's go ahead and read that. Being best friends is a lot like being married. Therefore, when you cease to be best friends, you should have some rights to your friend's property. So obviously you can tell that is not a very strong argument. It's in fact pretty ridiculous. And if you read through these, you'll see that. And so just go back through the presentation and look for the examples of different types of inductive fallacies and see if you can identify which ones are operating here. So make sure to answer, as always, all of the questions down here in step 2. So what kind of fallacy is present in each scenario? Is it formal? Is it a fallacy of weak induction? Or is it no fallacy at all? Is it actually a good argument? How can you distinguish between fallacy and argument? So an argument obviously is giving us real reasons, where a fallacy is giving us fake reasons to believe the conclusion. So just basically say that in your own words, and you'll be okay for that one. Identify each scenario as an argument or fallacy, providing support for your decision. And by what criteria can you discern logical fallacies in an argument? Make sure you talk about looking for the evidence in an argument and determining whether or not that evidence is a real reason to support the conclusion. We also had discussion 5.1, and this is simply talking about the difference between an argument and a fallacy. So in your discussion, if you haven't done it already, make sure you discuss providing good support for your conclusions in a real argument. What's the difference between a formal fallacy and an informal fallacy? And in that case, we're actually talking about formal fallacies are violations of logic. So things like what you were presented with in your presentation have some regular common formal fallacies like affirming the consequence and denying the entity. So those are considered formal fallacies. And we're going to go much more into informal fallacies in week 6. And we'll talk about things like basically attacking the person you're arguing with and attacking their character. These are not ways to support your conclusion, but are typically tactics that are used in an argument. So it's going to be really interesting for week 6. So again, for week 5, just go ahead for the live session. View your lesson 5 presentation. It is really excellent and right on the money for the information for your assignments this week. So there wasn't really a lot to recover. What we usually like to do in these live sessions is not repeat what you had in your presentation, but more explain the assignments and the discussions and give you opportunities to ask questions. So hopefully we'll see you Monday at 7 p.m. for our next live session for week 6. Thanks so much.